Madison Hickman, hello, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Madison Hickman, you are the council member elect representing Troy's 3rd Ward as you won the Republican primary back in May. And one of the things that is interesting about Madison Hickman, you are a transplant. So tell us about a little bit about where you're from and how you ended up in Troy.
So I graduated from Jackson Center. Which, if you don't know where that is, it's on your way to Indian Lake, is how most people around this area know where it's at. It is the home of Airstream, like trailers and campers. So that is what they're most known for. I graduated with like 33 kids, so very small hometown. So that is small town life is very much what I was used to, and that is very much where I'm from.
So Jackson Center, did it have its own high school, or was it in a high school with other communities? Or?
No. So that's the weird thing with Shelby County I've learned, like coming south, is each municipality in Shelby County has its own school. So mine is definitely, I don't know if it's the smallest of Shelby County, but one of the smallest school districts of Shelby County.
Okay. So what brought you to Troy, and how long have you been in town?
So I was working at a salon in Anna, so just a town over from my hometown, and they were ready to expand to a second location. And this was 11 years ago, probably now. And they were looking between Wapak or Wapak, Canada, and Troy. And this was like, I feel like right when Troy really started expanding, like it was cool, but it definitely was not what it is now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very thankful they chose Troy to expand to. And I was the first employee that was coming down to this location. So I set the whole location up. I managed the location. I was the Chamber of Commerce person for our business. I was very fortunate too that at the time my landlord in my apartment, so I moved down into the Hatfield house, which is next door to Kay's. And the landlord at the time was also the director of Troy Main Street. So he got me very involved with the city. I was in like the business owners Facebook group. So it was really cool to see all the small business owners that existed at that point in time, collaborating together, being really involved, and all of those things. So that's how I got brought to Troy. And then I've left in spurts, but not really.
So what are you doing now? Are you still in the salon business?
Yes. So excuse me. So I now am a booth renter in at Ruby's Beauty Salon. So Ruby's has been around since 1957 in its current location. It started up on the 2nd floor before that in the 40s. And so Ruby's grandson and his wife now own the business. So I rent a space inside of their salon, and I specialize in curly hair. So I have my own curly hair little sweet business. Probably 90% of my clientele, if not higher than that, are curly hair clients from as far as Cincinnati South. I have clients from Indianapolis and like Muncie. I have clients that are from Lima. I think Lima might be the farthest north. But like Minster, New Bremen, like I have a very wide circumference of clients. And lots of clients from Troy and Piqua too, which was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So that is my daily normal. I go in and I help predominantly women, but I have a good handful of curly haired guide clients feel more comfortable with their hair because curly hair can be cumbersome for some people, or they, in like the 90s, straight hair was a thing. Mm-hmm. And now it's not. So helping people learn how to style their hair so that it lasts them for like multiple days. It doesn't grow and get frizzy. They don't feel like they don't belong in the world that they live in, which is wild to think about, but hair does that.
Yeah, yeah, and you have a fairly large Instagram following, and I've seen your work, and it's almost like an art. I mean, it's truly amazing the talent that goes into that. How long? I mean, when did you decide you wanted to be a curly hair artist? I guess is the best way to describe it.
So I have always had clients with curly hair, and I just had this natural ability for cutting, even though it's so funny. Like, I have thought about this a lot lately. So when I was in hair school, I told all my teachers that I would never be a hairstylist. I just wanted to see how this all worked, and I was probably going to manage a salon. And then when I was at my first salon, I assisted for like a year and then started taking my own clients towards like the end of that assisting, and then full-time my own clients after that. And like cutting was hard because it's very hard for people to teach hair cutting. Like it's very like geometry, and I hated geometry in high school. Hated it. I was an algebra girl. I could do that all day long. Geometry just did not compute up here. So I just never thought I would specialize in hair cutting by any means at that point in my life. I loved hair color, mixing color. Like I knew clients by color, especially like for my like trainee. Like I just knew her clients, and I could tell her what her formulas were. I just like knew them, and it stuck up here. So then, yeah, I had clients that had curly hair. They loved how I cut it. I was terrible at styling it at that point in time, because this is my curly hair, and this is the curliest that it's probably ever been. Of course, now that I know how to do curly hair very well, I can do my own. And so then fast forward several years, when we opened up the salon here in Troy, actually, so not fast forward that far yet, but when we came to Troy, a girl from Springfield wanted to move to Troy into our salon, and she was a curly haired specialist. So that's how I found out it was like even a thing. And then fast forward a few years from that, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, and worked in a curly salon. And that's where I really got my feet underneath me. I really learned styling, because that's kind of the only thing I was lacking, was like styling. And so when I moved home, that's just all I did. I was done. I have my clients that I've had almost my whole career with straight hair. But pretty much since 6 years ago, I have just done full curls.
Cool. And so you've lived downtown.
Yep.
You kind of live downtown now. I mean, you're just blocks from it there in the third ward.
Yep.
You work at Ruby's, so I mean, you get to see either curly hair or the public square for like all the time.
Yeah.
I'm curious, given kind of your outsider come into town, how has the town changed since you've been here?
Well, so like I said earlier, like when my first salon was bringing their second location down here, it was starting to be in that growth aspect. So our neighbors were still like the Amish furniture company that is now Three Road Sisters. It was still the furniture company next door, the super cute elderly couple. And then La Piazza was still there. But a lot of the retail stores have changed, and there's been more restaurants added. There's more activities. I would say a lot of the concerts are more geared towards lots of age groups versus just an older age group. There's more events, like we have the Torta Donut now. It's a lot more livelier. I definitely think everybody getting like a paint upgrade on the buildings has helped make things look brighter as well. So that's been really cool to watch happen and watch all this progression that has happened in the last 10 years.
And so given your view downtown, are there any specific problems or challenges that you or the folks you run into are encountering being downtown?
Parking is, I think, always going to be one. And unfortunately, I don't think there's really a great solution for that. You know, Troy was built in the days of horse and buggy, not massive trucks and SUVs and all the traffic that Troy has. So yeah, like traffic and parking, I think are just going to always be an issue. I do wish people just drove by the law, like followed the speed limits, followed the parking rules, things like that. But you're always going to have people that don't follow the rules, unfortunately. So we just do the best that we can. I know personally, I lived in that Hatfield house when they took the stoplights out of the square, and I loved that. I know there's lots of people that didn't and probably still don't. But as somebody that lived and worked downtown, it greatly helped my commute. It definitely smoothed things out. I can't really say, I don't remember what traffic was like back then as far as like people getting jammed at all the stoplights and it backing up forever and ever. I know now it definitely just backs up at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, going north and south. Like everybody trying to go north, it backs up horribly. So on Fridays, I do not work later than 3 o'clock because I don't want to deal with downtown traffic and people coming into town for dinner and trying to find parking and not knowing where to go. And then I also try to work like through the week until like 5-ish, and it tends to be a lot better then. So minor inconveniences in the grand scheme of things. I also would say, like, especially in front of Ruby's, the sidewalks are disgusting. And that's like our biggest complaint. Unfortunately, all the candy and the ice cream and the stuff that is just on the ground constantly is unfortunate. I would love if they could bring a street cleaner down the sidewalks. I don't know if that can ever be a thing, but I have like joked about it a couple times now at city council meetings. Like, can we? And like, all the events unfortunately force us to kind of close. Strawberry Festival is like the biggest one that affects our business, but Torta Donut does a little bit. Trying to think that I feel like those are probably the main two because we're not open for like the Christmas tree lighting ceremony anyways. So like that's annoying, but also we're used to it and we just work other days to kind of make up for that.
So is the salon open during the Strawberry Festival, or do you just put the closed sign down and
yes,
we go? Okay.
Yeah. With our like bathroom being in the basement and people just flock underneath our awnings. And then clients would have to park forever away. So we just we close at like 3 o'clock on Thursday because I think, or like I don't know, I'm sure we've had some clients there until 5 o'clock when they start closing down the square, but like we try to close earlier, make sure everybody's out Thursday by the time they start closing everything down. And then we don't come back to work until the following Monday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I am interested to pick up on the conversation where, it's like you're seeing a lot of rubbish downtown. I mean, I feel the same way. It seems like every time I go and walk on the square, I'm always picking at least one or two pieces of trash up that's scattered on the sidewalk. I mean, do we not have enough trash cans? I mean,
you would think we don't, but we do. I mean, we have those really big, nice ones right out. There's one right outside of Ruby's, and there's still trash and broken things and stuff spilt. And
yeah.
I don't know.
And you know, I mean, I think a lot of people who might be watching this think, it's those kids at Grandpa Joe's, and it's not. I mean, you see stuff from
Yeah.
everywhere, to be quite honest. And
Mhm.
yeah,
And I noticed that, like, walking through the historic neighborhood, like walking home. I mean, I've been on my back porch and watched people throw trash in my yard, in my neighbor's yard. Like, unfortunately, there's always going to be that.
yeah, yeah. And so one of the interesting things about Madison Hickman is that you decided to run for city council.
Yep.
And what was your thought process in saying, I want to do this?
So I was originally going to go to college for political sciences, but international studies. And things just didn't work out. So I ended up in hair school and that whole route. And then with my parents being friends with you, I was a little bit more aware of the political scene in Troy. And then obviously being a business owner, manager, living downtown, now owning a home right outside of downtown. I don't know, I consider this downtown still. Yeah. I just keep it up with like social media, what people are saying, how people are feeling. I see things all the time. I hear things all the time, all of that. So then, I don't know, one day I think I was just like, I'm going to ask Bill about running for city council. I don't even know really what that is. Like, I know what city council is, but like, what's all that entail? What's that like? So I don't really remember why I chose city council out of anything. Like, I don't really remember what my thought process was before our first conversation. Yeah. So I just remember our first conversation. You were like 2025, and I was like, "Oh, like now?" Like, I don't have 4 years to prepare for this.
Here we go. And so, I think one of the most unique things that you bring is that you are a downtown business owner. You're going to be the youngest person on council, I believe, by a large margin. Mm-hmm. You're also a woman. I mean, and there's going to be 3 or 4 of you when the next council comes in. So do you think those are some unique perspectives that you're going to bring to city council? And how do you think that perspective will end up informing decisions that need to be made?
I definitely think, yes, being one of the younger ones and being an outsider too, I think is also, people may not see it as an advantage, but I see it as an advantage because my eyes are open to everything. Mm-hmm. So, I haven't lived here for 20 to 40 years and, don't really notice everything or have become immune to everything. And I'm not saying that's what has happened to other people, but like, I think coming into town with a fresh set of eyes and a different point of view is huge. Mm-hmm. I think I am very practical in my thought process of things. Like really at the end of the day, I don't think our citizens are asking for a whole lot. Like, it's just responding, being available, knowing that not everybody's going to be happy with every decision. But if you can explain, why we came to this process or why the government process is this way, and some other details, you're going to at least curb some negativity, I think, with that. Like a lot of people just don't understand that, like, if so-and-so comes to council and asks for this zoning issue to be changed, and there's no reason to directly not change that zoning issue, then city council really doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Like they can't just say like, oh, well, because we know what's going to happen after that zoning issue, potentially, we don't want to allow that happen. No, like you have to look at each step individualized versus like the long term, unfortunately, when we're passing things or when people are asking for permission for things. So I think explaining the process of how things and why things work is huge. Being young, yes, is definitely going to be a different perspective. I see a lot of, or I hear a lot of like families. So many of my neighbors at this point are young families. And we're the next generation of Troy. Like, we are the ones that you want to take space so that that generation can retire and live their happily, ends of their lives, or however you want to word that. I don't really know. But like, you want my generation involved, else there's going to be a missing stair step. So I think getting people involved, using social media also, because our world lives on social media. So you have to meet people where they're at. And so many of the older generation still doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think some of the issues that the city ends up running into is that they're really bad at selling what they're trying to do with the residents that they're there to serve. You know, like, this is a decision we're making and this is why.
Yes.
Very rarely do we hear the why.
Yes.
It's more like, this is what we're going to do. And
like, unless you come to city council meetings and you ask why, and unfortunately people don't want to come to city council meetings. Like, I am always really excited and curious when I see people I've not seen before come to city council meetings, and like, they don't necessarily get up to talk about an issue. Because, people come to talk about an issue, sure. But like, if they just come there and observe and then leave, I'm curious as to what brought them there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when I was making my push for the campaign, and I don't remember what the subject was, but there was a lot of contention in Facebook world. And I was like, come to city council meeting then and voice your opinion. Like, that's the best you can do, because voicing it on Facebook is not a, what's the word I want to use? It's not
well, it's not productive.
Yes, that is exactly what I was looking for. It's not a productive path.
Yeah.
So if you really have an opinion on something, then come to a city council meeting and politely verbalize it and explain why. Or if you're not able to come to a city council meeting, then email your councilman. And unfortunately, I do hear a lot that people don't get replies. So I really hope to work on that, and encourage that. And, and there's two sides to every story. I have not asked my fellow council people, like, I'm hearing this, like, what is this? Like, why do they feel that way, or whatever? Like, I haven't got to dive into that yet. I feel like it's not quite my place yet. But yes, we need people involved, and if we're not giving them the opportunity or the space to be informed so that they can be involved, that is where things are falling apart.
Yeah. And, I'll add a little bit to the discussion on that missing piece of the communication where people feel like they're not being heard. It's like, residents are told, well, get on the website and send an email to all council members form. And they do that. Well, the response they get's not from city council. The response they get's from Mr. Titterington. And it's like, Mr. Titterington is not there to speak on behalf of council.
Right.
The council members themselves are there to speak for themselves when it comes to individual residents. And, I always tried, when I saw those emails, I always tried to respond back directly to the citizen on that thing. And it's like, we get into a weird spot where we kind of meld some of these roles and responsibilities. Patrick Titterington is not responsible to city council, and I don't think he should be speaking on their behalf. to be
Right.
honest. You know, individual council members are obviously smart enough to speak for themselves when it comes to concerns that residents have.
Right.
And that's their job.
Yeah. Well, and too, it's I think getting individual council people to be known, like in their own ward or community or whatever. Like, so many people when I was running was like, I don't even know who my city council person is. And then I'm like, that is what we need to change. So,
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And it's like you see that a lot in just the turnout numbers in an election. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, in your race, there were just a few hundred votes cast in a ward with 4,500, 5,000 residents. It's like we're allowing a very select few to make those decisions on behalf of everybody. And
right.
The best thing you can do as a resident is actually go out and vote.
Yep.
Pay attention to the things that are happening and exercise your right to vote and understand how that goes. Because I mean, I would assume that, when I'll be honest, I helped you with your campaign, gave you ideas. And, one of the things I told you is, look at the voter rolls. And if those people don't vote, don't waste your time on them, because if they haven't voted in the past, they're not going to vote now.
Yeah.
And, it's a very cynical game we play, but it's absolutely true, because we've got limited time and limited resources, and we're not going to waste our time working with folks that aren't going to go out and turn out to vote.
Yep. I mean, I sent like 500 letters off the bat, and that was just looking at who voted in 2024 election, which obviously being a presidential election is huge. And that was my initial like introduction to myself or of myself. Sorry. And then after that, I did start looking back at, okay, like who votes in off-year elections, let alone primaries, because that is the smallest, I think, election pool. So that is definitely what I went off of. And then I'm very fortunate being in like the oldest neighborhood in town, or one of the oldest neighborhoods in town. There is still very much a very tight sense of community here. And so then getting involved in those groups was huge for me. And a lot of them are retiree groups, but I don't care. They're just as fun. Like, I still was the youngest one in the room by a lot, but they know, they've been here. Like a lot of the retirement age group of this neighborhood currently were the people that started the Southwest Historic District.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that started like a dinner club and a Christmas walk and book clubs. And like, there's so many fun, cool things in this neighborhood. And like, I want to work on bringing back block parties, which I was hoping I would get to do one this summer, but I don't think I have time to get one in this summer. But there used to be block parties here every summer, and just so many things to keep people in a community oriented space. Yeah. And I so much want to bring that back for everybody.
Yeah. And I think you've got an advantage because, of all of the wards in the city, I think the third ward, especially those areas west of Market Street, it is very tight knit, very tight knit. Westbrook comes to mind too as a very tight knit community, but boy, the third ward of Troy is pretty darn tight knit. You walk down some of those streets, everybody knows the neighbors there, and it's really fascinating to see those neighborhoods interact with one another and all their residents, and it's amazing. And I wish you could replicate that all across.
Oh, I do. Like, I mean, my my old landlord is one of my neighbors now. And his son and daughter-in-law just moved in across the street. So I now literally know all of my neighbors very, very well. And so the son and daughter-in-law are like my age. So I took her up to the farmer's market, like the first weekend that it was around or whatever, that I was home. I think I was out of town the first one. But anyway, it easily took us 45 minutes to walk home afterwards because we kept running into all of our neighbors. And I was like, well, this is so-and-so and this is so-and-so. And everybody is so kind. And like, I can say hello to anybody in this neighborhood and nobody says anything. I'll be out on my front porch swing and people will ask, or will say hello. I think one of the funniest things for me during my campaign, obviously I had my own signs in my yard and I was out front on my porch swing reading, and this cute couple and their little girl walked by and they like walk around my corner and just kind of start walking past me. And then she hesitates and she turns around and she goes, how did you get one of those? And I go, the sign? And she was like, yeah. I go, that's me. And she's like, that's you? Oh my gosh. Because she had gotten my letter and she's like, had already been curious about me and like my stance and platform and everything. And so I was just like, yeah, do you want one? Like, I've got them in the garage.
Great. That's an amazing story. That's wonderful.
Yes, it was just so funny. So now when they walk by the house, I was like, hi.
So that leads me to a question. I mean, that's obviously a younger couple. And do you think younger residents think of the community different than older residents? And what does that look like? And how do you articulate that?
I don't think so in my neighborhood per se.
Okay.
But in an overall stance, probably.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. Again, I think my neighborhood is so unique that everybody tends to care. Like the people that know there's something to care for, care. So we have the retired age group community. Like they're still very much involved in the world. They still very much want a place for their grandchildren to like be able to come visit, hang out, friends. Like I can't tell you how many of our neighbors have friends from out of state come visit all the time. Like they'll have parties on their back porch and be like, hey, all of our friends are in town, feel free to stop by. Like, and they don't have kids that live here anymore. They don't have kids at all, but they want to be here and they want to be involved and enjoy all the things that Troy brings. Whereas same with the younger families. Like I would say at least half my neighborhood now is young families. Like it's either one or the other, it seems like. And we're one of the ones that don't have children, but like, we don't care. Like we hang out with all of our friends' kids. And, they walk to the library, they walk to Overfield or whatever elementary school they belong to, and enjoy all the things that town has to offer. And they want to, they want to help preserve what they have now so that their kids can continue to enjoy that and they can be lifelong residents of Troy also.
Well, and maybe this is an unfair question to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. Does Troy still have a promise of opportunity for younger folks?
Definitely.
Okay. And what
think
does
so.
that look like? Okay. Because I mean, is the cost of living good? I mean, because you hear things like housing prices are going too high and things of that nature. So I mean, it's like, what are the good things about Troy for younger families that make it super attractive?
I mean, there's still houses selling like hotcakes to families. So I mean, there's still families that are able to come to town. I mean, we were able to. And I'm a hairstylist. I does not look like I make that much money. I'm not rolling in the dough like a lot of people probably think we do. And when we bought the house, Brian was not working at Collins Aerospace. He was working at a much, I wouldn't say lower end job, but like a smaller company. So was not making the kind of income that he makes now. And we made it work. You know, we bought a home that was a little bit of a fixer-upper, not like a full fixer-upper. And we just do projects as we can. Like this summer, we're getting the deck replaced. We're very excited because it is crumbling. Like the fact that our dogs or our feet have not went through it is ridiculous. And there are job opportunities. I do feel like I notice, and I would be curious, like, for you to do a poll on this. How many people that live in Troy work in Troy, and how many people that work in Troy live in Troy? Because I feel like a lot of people that are coming to Troy do not work in Troy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that work in Troy don't live in Troy.
Yeah.
So Brian, for those that don't know, my fiance Brian is the only recruiter at Collins Aerospace here in Troy. So if you want a job at Collins Aerospace, he reads your resume, and will at least do your initial phone call interview and things of that nature. It definitely sounds like most people that apply to work there aren't from here.
Yeah.
Especially in the higher role positions, they are people from outside of the state. And I have noticed that being a hairstylist that's not from Troy, most of my clientele are families that come from outside of Troy, outside of the state, but move to Troy because they love Troy. So I have always found that aspect interesting. I will say that.
And so it's a case where it's like we're certainly attracting more people from the outside to come in, which definitely helps the local economy and things like that. When you were on the campaign trail, did you hear some concerns that the old time residents felt left behind? And
Definitely.
How do you overcome that?
I definitely see that. Like, I read that a lot online still. And I think definitely this year, being the state of Ohio raising property taxes, was a huge point of contingent for everyone, which unfortunately Troy has no say in that.
Well, I mean, not on the appraisal side. I mean, your
Right.
property is worth what it's worth. And you know, we just ended up passing the school levy for the new buildings last year. And so that was that's a double whammy on the property tax side.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like that's the biggest issue that I hear people having, is just how much taxes have gone up. And like, I do wish there was something that we could do to kind of cap that. Like, I don't think it's right that your house can be taken away from you, even if you fully own it, you have it paid off, but you can't afford your taxes anymore.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that just doesn't sit right and makes no sense. Not saying that like you shouldn't pay taxes once you hit a certain age, because I don't think our government could afford that, or our country could afford that. But like, you know, some sort of cap or whatever it may be. But again, that's above my pay grade. But I feel for those people. Like, my dad just paid off his house within the past couple of years, and that was my grandparents' property. So I couldn't imagine, you know, God forbid something happened to him one day and I can't help him pay his property taxes, or he can't pay his property taxes, or anything like that. And then somebody would come in, and it's 5 acres. Like, somebody would just come and take it away like that.
Yeah.
So I feel for those people. I just, unfortunately, I don't know the solution at this point in time. And like, yes, it definitely is a struggle seeing Troy grow as much as it's grown in the last 10 to 15 years. And how high things are getting appraised now, which is great on one aspect. Like, my house, the appraisal in 3 years is insane.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, it hurts you in the tax bracket. So yes, I hear that and I see that. I just don't necessarily know of a solution
Yeah.
yet.
Well, don't feel bad. You're not the only one who doesn't know what the solution is. Yeah.
I definitely want people to understand like there are so many avenues of help in this town and in this county. And that's one thing that like I do try to help people with a lot. Like people are always on Facebook, like I need help with this or that, or what do I do if this happens, or whatever. And just so many people are scared to make phone calls or are scared.
Yeah.
Why? Like when so many people's AES bills were like astronomical, people were scared to even just ask AES, like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to do that. Like because it'll get registered that you called.
Yeah.
So you have to start there. And even if they give you a BS answer, like you started there and then figure out, ask help, ask where to go from there. Same with people needing assistance. Like I'm sure you deal with this a lot with New Path. Like people don't know what all New Path offers.
Correct.
Like, you guys offer a ton
of stuff. Yeah.
And same with a lot of other nonprofits in town. I mean, people don't realize Strawberry Festival is because of nonprofits. Like all the vendors at Strawberry Festival have to have a nonprofit that they sponsor.
Yeah.
So that right there shows how many nonprofits are in Miami County, let alone Troy.
Yeah.
And it just takes asking for help. Like there's so much money sitting in government bank accounts, nonprofit bank accounts, whatever, that people just don't know how to utilize. So I think that's something that I've been trying to work on. There is the Job and Family Services bus at the library now every Wednesday. There is, it's 211, right? Yep. That you can call and they can help direct you for help. I know there's books of all the services in Miami County. I think that's at the library, I've been told. I'm trying to get my hands on one.
It's online too.
It's online.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's also like what I've really been working on is like there's help. Like you can try to stay in your home. Like I understand there's some situations where it's just downhill fast, but like if you try to get on top of it from the get-go, and get help while you can, and then there's people that will help you make game plans. There are people that will help you figure out things to a certain degree.
I mean, we live in such a generous community, and you just wish people knew that more than what they do. Because I mean, the resources of generosity are just unbelievable.
Yes.
For a community our size.
Yes.
So Madison, Hickman, let's look into the crystal ball. Like,
oh boy,
4, 5, 6 years down the road, what would a successful term or multiple terms on city council look like for you, and what would your contribution to that be? What do you hope to accomplish, I guess, is the easy question.
I think my biggest thing is I would just love for more involvement, more people showing up, more people talking, more people understanding or trying to understand how government works, why government works, things of that nature. I think that's always the biggest one for me, because I think that could be such a simple change and could help people understand and navigate things so much easier.
Yeah. And I mean, a city council meeting is not the most pleasant or welcoming environment.
Yeah. And they can be really boring and be over in 10 minutes. Like,
and you almost need a city council meeting is not one of those places you just show up to and you have a full understanding of what's happening, because it's a very detailed agenda. There's a lot of inside baseball that is being discussed, and it's like, when do I get to speak about what I want?
Yes. And two, it's like, a lot of people don't know or don't realize that a lot of discussions happen on the committee night meeting, not the full at-large meeting. So yes, a lot of people say the at-large meeting is just a rubber stamp night, which essentially it kind of is already, because the discussions happened the week before or whenever on the committee night. So there's things that have already been asked and discussed, and nobody knew that discussion was happening, so they didn't get to put their 2 cents in. And unfortunately, like, that's that process. I would love to see if there's a way to change that process, but I'm probably, I'm sure I'm not the first one to feel that way. So
Yeah. Well, and having the committees on the same night at the same time have helped quite a bit. And those meetings are generally not as formal and a little more give and take in the conversation, which is a lot more helpful.
Yeah.
I have seen you at the quarterly at-large meetings that Councilman Seaver and Councilwoman Snee and Councilwoman Westfall have had.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like those?
I do. I plan on hosting them for the third ward myself.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. I think that it's more open forum for those who have never been. So you can ask any questions. Like the last one, several people asked why the new roundabout at the cemetery in Hobart hasn't even been started. And another project and another study, I think people were like, those were supposed to start.
Yeah, I think it was the study for the roundabout at West Main Street in Stanfield.
Yes. And so then they made notes, and they asked about it. The councilman women went to the next council meeting and publicly asked about it, and they got updates.
Yeah.
So yes, I think those are great. Meeting people in our communities while we were there. Like, I met some of my new neighbors at this last one, and they want to be very involved in our neighborhood too. And one, I think, graduated from Troy, and then the other is from out of state. And they just moved back to the community from out of state, and they want to be super involved in town. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting other people to come to the meetings and give their thought or their questions or whatever it may be would be cool.
Yeah, and then those meetings, I mean, you're seeing, like you said, you're seeing newer residents, you're seeing older residents. Usually they get anywhere from about 12 to 20 people to show up.
Yeah.
And the conversations are helpful. No one comes in thinking they have the answers to everything, but they work together to figure out what the answers are and come up with solutions that most people are nodding their heads with.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself being in town for the long term?
Oh yeah, for sure. I keep teasing Brian. I'm like, we have no need to ever move out of this house, honestly. Unless, we can't get up the stairs at some point. Because we have, old steep stairs. So maybe when we're like 70, 80, I don't know.
Your knees are still young.
I don't know. I just had to go to Up and Running and get some comfy shoes. So I feel like I'm in a different age bracket these days.
Are you excited about being on council, and what are you looking forward to the most?
Yes, definitely am. I am looking forward to getting to understand and learn more about things, learn from those who have been involved in our community for a long time. And I mean, I truly think it's an honor to represent the third ward and the people that are here. You know, like I don't feel this immense amount of pressure at this moment in time, but people have asked me if I do. And at the end of the day, I'm me. I am who I am. If I don't know the answer, I'll try my best to find the answer or the solution for you. I try to be like very practical in my thought process. You know, I don't want to go chasing around the bush trying to find different solutions and answers. I don't expect my constituents who may already be stressed out trying to figure that out. So to me, it's an immense honor to represent one of the oldest parts of town, the people that have been here for a very long time. You know, I know several people who have been in homes for multiple generations, or the homes I've been in their families for multiple generations. And I don't want that to change. Yeah, I'm very excited. And like, no, I don't have a personal agenda because I don't think I should. I am a servant and a steward of the third ward, so I should be advocating and speaking for them. Is my mindset, you know. So if there's things that they're asking for and, you know, wonder why we can't do this, or if we could have that, or a stop sign needs to be put here, like, all right, I'll ask and we'll start looking into it.
Excellent. Well, Madison, we've gone over 50 minutes. This was so much fun.
Yes,
Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me. And is there anything else you want to end up on?
I just encourage everybody to get involved in everything in their daily lives. Like, don't sit back and let things just happen and pass you by. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to get involved. This city is very friendly to everybody. You just have to find a group of people to give you that encouragement and point you in that right direction. And I mean, Troy is a very beautiful town. It really is. And I want to keep that, and I want everybody else to feel that way too.
Well, excellent. And Madison, I know everybody is just going to love you when you're on city council. Excuse me. I mean, you know, you bring a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and just a real go-get-it attitude to what you're going to do. So, Madison, thank you. We'll see you around town.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye.